You realize that in the Old Testament, what met one the prophet was the Spirit of God that comes upon such a vessel to aid him to speak forth for God. Moses was called to lead the children of Israel out of captivity by divine leading and by the Spirit of God. So the people came. It was 3 million people Moses led out of captivity. And for one man to bring leadership, provide leadership for 3 million people, it was a strange tax. So God asked him, when he saw that the labor upon Moses was much, he asked him to gather 70 elders, and he will take the Spirit of God that was upon the life of Moses, and he will put it upon the 70 elders. 68 of them made it to the tent, and 2 of them could not make it to the tent. They prepared for 3 nights and 3 days in anticipation of the coming of the Lord, perform empowerment upon their lives. When that day came, elder and elder don't make it to the camp. But when the Spirit of God came, he located elder and elder where they were, and men saw them speaking and prophesying in the tent. It wasn't the tent of meeting, but their own living tent. And Joshua with zeal, he asked whether he should forbid them. And then Moses said, envious thou for my sake. I will that God will put his Spirit upon all flesh, and that the people of God will be a prophetic nation. One who is called a prophet in the days of old was as a result of God's Spirit upon his life. The Bible says prophecy in the days of old came as a result of holy men of old that were carried by the Spirit of God. So it was a prayer that Moses uttered in his heart, that how I wish that the entirety of God's people will be a prophetic nation, that God take his Spirit and put it upon God's people. So a time came as a progression, because God raised the tribe of Israel, working a pathway of redemption in order to restore his purpose and his plan that Adam lost in the garden. So Isaiah said, God has been working here a little, there a little, line upon line, precept upon precept. All the prophets were speaking in one direction. All the prophets, as God raised them in their days, they were speaking forth on behalf of God, trying to bring an understanding to the agenda and the plan of God to their generation. Jeremiah came, he spoke the path he saw. Ezekiel came, he spoke the path that he saw. Elijah came, he spoke the path he saw. Joel saw that a time will come in the last day that God will pour out his Spirit upon all flesh. So Moses cried out in his heart, because he saw the need of having a multitude of God's people carrying the Spirit of God, understanding what is the mindset of God. It will entice you to know that in heaven we don't need any technology, because everything will be powered by the life of God. Everything will be powered by the life of God, and it's a type of shadow of what is obtainable in heaven that God was willing to establish upon the face of earth. So Joel peeped in the realms and saw that a time will come in the last day that God will pour out his Spirit upon what? All flesh. And men will prophesy, they will see visions, they will dream dreams. And in the days of Jesus, which was the proper fulfillment of the prayer of Moses, because when you pray, but there was a process, the things that God wanted to be in place need to be in place before the manifestation of the prayer of Moses will be answered.